Okay.
Hi, everyone. We are, if you can see us, that's a good thing. We are going live. Ben's trying to figure out the best angle, and I'm just checking out the streams here so that I can make sure that everything's connected as it should be. And so, hi, for those of you who were in Chicago for ASA Annual and you're here on Crowdcast or on Facebook Live, why don't you write into the comments and let us know that you're here? And let's see what's going on. I see Terry and Susan and Reed and Elizabeth Bernick. Yes, so glad to see you guys. Yeah, we're coming back with another review chat. It's that time of month again, guys, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I had so much fun at ASA Annual, but lots and lots of follow-up work to do. And I'm not sure how the rest of you are feeling, but I'm imagining that you're all kind of in the same boat. And so be really excited when we get Ben right back and we can like introduce today's show. What were some of your favorite things that you had happen at ASA Annual? And just write them into the comments before we get started.
Can you see me?
I can see you, Ben.
Yep. Okay, this is the worst experience I've ever had trying to set up my review chat studio. So screw it. I'm just going to hold the phone.
Screw it. Let's just make it happen. Let's just make it happen. We're all about solutions, man. We're all about solutions. Right. All right. So are we ready to go, guys?
Let's do this.
Let's kick it. All right. So welcome to Review Chat, a monthly discussion about the business, marketing, ethics, and science behind online customer reviews. I'm the host of Review Chat, KiKi L'Italien, and also with me is my co-host for Review Chat, the executive director of the Review Society, Ben Martin. And on today's show, we're talking about online reviews for conferences and trade shows. And our special guest is Kim Estep. Kim, yes. Kim founded Convention Nation back in 2014 to help people better discover conferences and associations. I'm just going to say a little bit about Convention Nation's mission before we get started. Convention Nation's mission is to bring visibility to events across the U.S. and beyond. And the platform features a place to list an event, allow attendees to register, promote sponsors, and then gather, guys, wait for it, attendee reviews. Okay. And this is why she became involved with the Review Society and why she's here to speak with us today. So welcome, everyone. Yay, Kim. Thank you so much for coming here. All right. So I said a little bit about Convention Nation, a little bit about you, but I left a whole bunch out. So what's Convention Nation? And how did you come up with this crazy wackadoodle idea that has everyone excited?
Well, and more people get excited. So KiKi, thank you so much for having me on. It's a pleasure to be able to talk about the company and yeah, I mean, reviews, gosh, where do I start? So the simple background is I come from a mortgage finance background, and I was sitting at my desk one day back in 2012. And one of my lender clients called me up and asked why I wasn't in Dallas where a conference was being held, where he was, and he's from Atlanta. And I said, Daryl, what's in Texas? What am I missing? And he said, oh, the Southwest Lenders Conference, for HUD lenders. And I'm like, holy cow, I didn't know all my customers were there. Now, I'm a broker. Mm-hmm. I'm not on the email list. I wasn't invited, but I certainly would have sponsored the event if someone had asked me. And my, I have Wall Street friends and clients that probably would have also flown in to take everybody out to dinner and make the experience better for everybody. So, I helped him out. I got off the call and it really bugged me for like a week or two. And I was like, why don't I know about this conference? How come it's not in any industry publication? Why? And this is 2012. I mean, Facebook was still in existence and it wasn't as prolific as it is today for commercial use. But do you know that conference didn't even have a web presence?
Wow.
So essentially it was using an email list of certified, government lenders. But I saw that they were missing out on a tremendous opportunity to get other industry stakeholders involved, not because we needed to hear the content that was there, but because we were willing to pay to be in the same place where our customers were at the same time. And obviously that's a gigantic revenue loss for that conference. So,
well, you're losing, they're losing. I mean, God only knows who else. And so, so this happens. And unlike the rest of us, where I find out about something, I have some FOMO and I'm like, man, I missed out. You didn't just let it go, right? I mean, obviously this stuck with you.
So this was also about the time that our business, the mortgage business started to slow down a little bit. And so I actually had a little bit of extra time on my hands to kind of do what you have behind you right now, which is put up boards with sticky notes.
Oh, yes,
yes. And I said, if I were to build a platform for, because I looked and nothing existed to find events. You can Google them all day long and you can get to the 10th or 12th page of Google in results, searching for specific terms. And it doesn't always show up for you because Google's algorithm doesn't give the same results to the same people in the same place. So you can go to Eventbrite and you can look for events, but it's going to show you something within 50 radius of your home. And I'm willing to fly cross country. I'm in Connecticut. I do a lot of events. I go to Chicago, I go to Austin, I go to San Francisco, I go to Las Vegas. I'm willing to travel. So none of the existing event platforms helped me drill down better. So long story short, it started as kind of a free time project that now 4 years later, I am fully invested in. Like this.
Wow.
This is TripAdvisor for conferences. This is where you put LinkedIn and conference search together in a single platform so that we can now make recommendations so people can opt in and tell us what types of content they're looking for, what types of education they need. Now, there are people that are going to find associations they didn't even know existed, right? Because they're going to attend the event, but then they have to become members in order to attend the event to get the discount. So we can help drive, a new membership for associations as well.
Okay. So that's what I was going to get into next is like, so who is this for? How do they use it? What's the story with that? Because if I want to go on, I know the answer to this, but I'm just going to say theoretically, hypothetically, I want to go on. KiKi L'Italien, I'm a consultant, speaker, whatever. I go on. Can I use it? Is it something for me to use?
Yeah. We have a wide open search. So, so you can use keywords, you can find an event directly. We have, I don't know how much about search engine optimization and SEO, but every single one of our event pages is like a Cliff Notes version. I don't know how many of you guys understand Cliff Notes either, but I'm old, so I used Cliff Notes back in the day, right? But for those that don't know, Cliff Notes was a synopsis of, the Scarlet Letter or whatever we were reading at the time to pull out the important details. And so we designed the site to provide a snapshot of what an event is about. And then we tell Google to go index all of that information so that anyone searching for it, if the association's own event marketing team doesn't do a good job of SEO, their event's likely to be found within Convention Nation because our rank, our list will come up first. So let's say
yeah. No, what I think is really interesting about that is I was thinking about the utility of it from, your initial problem where it was like there was an event, you didn't know about it, you lost out on opportunities, and so did they. But I guess I hadn't really thought about the fact that the SEO side of it, where it is a place that is giving your conference that boost. And so that's definitely a reason why any meeting planner or organization will want to know about this, right? And so what are some other components of it? Because I know that, I sort of rattled off a number of different things that are on the site that are things that you track. But can you tell me a little bit more about the site itself, the platform itself, and what it's able to do?
Yeah, well, it's definitely a work in progress. I mean, again, I don't have, $10 million in venture capital. And so we've been building, what? I wish, if anyone wants to talk to me, I'd be happy to talk to them. So we're building, as quickly as we can based on what finances will allow. The way it works is anyone can go add an event for free. You have to come in, you have to create an account, you become the entity that quote unquote owns that event. You claimed that event as your own. You go through it's a simple 14, step form that you press publish, and it comes to me or another member of my team, and we just review it to make sure there's no bad language or anything, or that it's not promoting something that isn't an event. We want to not, true. And then once we clear it, we press publish, and the event's up, and it's getting indexed by Google, and it's a backlink to your event, and it exists. For events that want to be known in a particular category, or want to highlight their event for a specific time period, let's say they're missing out on ticket sales. If, they can boost the event for 30 days. Like, there are little premium upcharges here and there that work similarly to how you would boost something in Google.
Right.
But the benefit of working with us is we've already driven they're already looking for events, right? So it's not like someone's searching Google and they might be looking for anything, like, you don't know. So the search component is the strongest component. The second component is we can really help planners, help them market their event better, because we go to a lot of events and we know what works and what doesn't work in terms of driving attendance, driving sponsors, driving exhibitors. So, we can talk to all of our, planner members that just to BS about, how to help them do what they want to do for their event.
Well, I want to bring up a couple of comments that are over here on the side. And you guys, if you're watching right now, especially on Facebook, where you don't have the luxury of seeing what's happening in the chat box on Crowdcast, let me just explain that my co-host, Ben Martin, is actually still here. You just can't see him. He's kind of like...
I'm here. You can hear me, but you can't see me.
You can hear him, but you can't see him. So don't think he's gone. He's kind of like the ghost of review chat right now. So if you hear his voice pipe up, that's not actually an accident, that he's still here. You just can't see him. And then over here in the chat box on Crowdcast, Terry's saying, I guess I submitted AMS Fest back in 2015 because I found it, but missed out on getting all the AMS Fest since then. No more of that, Terry. And then Ben brings up something that I want to bring up a little bit later after we have a chance to talk more about Convention Nation. And that is that the Review Society's first annual meeting is coming up. Again, more on that later. We'll put a pin in that, but just it's listed on conventionnation.com. So if you want to find out more about that, then you can go to Convention Nation and actually find the Review Society's first annual meeting there. And Nick, I see you over on Facebook and you're saying shadow hosts make for the best shows. Yes, I know. It's spooky. It's too bad we're not in October already. So let's get back to Convention Nation, because you're on Review Chat for a very specific reason, and that is because you do collect reviews on here. People review these conferences and events that happen. And so I know that, and especially coming back, I just came back, and a lot of us did, from ASAE Annual in Chicago, and there are these surveys that we receive from the organizers that ask for our opinions. I want to ask you a little bit about, and actually, Ben, you can jump in here at any point too. In what ways are reviews different from surveys?
I love this question.
Oh, so good.
Let's go with who has thought about buying a new car in the last, year or two? Probably a couple, even a used car. It doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
Where do you go first to look? Are you going to, right? You're going to look online. You're going to go to cars.com, or you're going to go to Consumer Reports. So you're going to go to some review site that says, and you want testimonials from other people that have owned that vehicle.
Right.
How does it drive? What are the maintenance costs? Is it in the shop very often? Is it safe? You want the the Institute for Highway, say you want to know what the crash tests look like, all that stuff. Well, you need reviews of people that have actually used it and owned it and put their money down for that information to be valuable.
Right.
A survey is what you get the month after you buy a new car, because that's the manufacturer asking you what worked and what didn't work when you get it, but you've already made the purchase. So reviews are very valuable for people who have never made a purchase. And surveys are very valuable for the entity that created the situation or the product. But that's for their internal stuff, right? Because they can market based on the information their survey gives them. Like, they could say, to the exhibitor, what was your anticipated ROI and what was your ROI, or what was your marketing spend and what did you get out, or how many customers did you get, or how much, right?
Yeah.
But the organization is going to use that information because they're unlikely to make it public. So that's really good, but it's a different purpose, right, Ben?
Yep, Ben's chiming in here. So I just wanted to back up some stuff that Kim said. So I read some research that was published by Salesforce about a month ago. And one of the interesting findings in there was that the only thing that was more important than consumer-generated content, which you can also consider to be a review, right, was easy to find product information. So, when a B2B buyer is getting ready to make a big purchasing decision at work, and I think if we can kind of equate a car to a big purchase at work, right? It's a major consumer buying decision. But yeah, only easy to find product information was more important than reviews. And it was by a pretty slim margin too.
Right.
To me, the thing that that differentiates reviews from surveys is this notion that the survey is only used by the organization that collects the survey. There's no transparency into the reviews themselves, which I think might color the information that goes into a review versus information that might go into a survey. And I think that kind of segues into our next question. But I think when you respond to a survey, you provide a different type of response than you do in a review. That's kind of my personal opinion, but I'd be curious to know, Kim and KiKi, what you think.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, go ahead, Kim. I mean, I agree though.
So, I mean, we thought a lot about this too, and there are quite a few people that don't like our survey system, and and we're willing to change that. But so going back to the new car reference, typically the manufacturer will send you something that says on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate, the drivability, the comfort, the safety, the brakes, blah, blah, blah. And it's running it all through a machine. It's getting data from like lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of people who answer. But if I were to write a review on cars.com, I would likely say, something that was really personal to me. Like here's the type of vehicle I was looking for, and did this vehicle meet my expectations? And is it worth the cost I paid?
Right. And
was the experience of purchasing it and going through that whole experience worthwhile, or should I have done it somewhere else? Okay?
I mean,
reviews are personal, and to me, surveys are cold and impersonal, and more machine driven.
I think the way I think about it is maybe a little bit different in that I don't necessarily think of one or the other as cold, but I definitely am focused more on the audience. So whenever I'm submitting that information, just like you were saying earlier, I'm providing a different type of experience. Even if the questions were the same, I would probably provide different types of information, knowing that it was going, either to, say, the automobile manufacturer versus the person who might be looking to buy it,
Right.
So, yeah, interesting. Okay, so do you feel that people are more or less forthcoming with their feedback with reviews? Like, are people, and especially versus as opposed to surveys, do you think they're forthcoming? Do you think they go ahead and share what they need to share?
I do, but I unfortunately, I think they're lazy too.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I know I am.
Yeah, so we've looked through the reviews that have been left over the years, and many times it's, this was great, I'll definitely be back next year, but I can't necessarily tell you why. I just kind of like the people, and the party was fun, and the content was great, and the speakers were awesome, and my company will let me come do this again next year. Versus other review responses that were there are two sides to this. Like, one bucket is going to be the people who had such a horrible experience. They're going to go complain about they were vegetarian, there was no vegetarian food, or there was too much of a line at the ladies' room, or there was, the registration system, was horrible, or the chairs were so uncomfortable. They never want to go to that venue again because they're, they need they want 45-minute sessions instead of hour-and-a-half sessions so they can have a break. Like, it's all of that stuff. And then on the other side, it's these people that were like, oh my God, this was a life-changing event for me because it only took one speaker to provide one skill or one new tactic that I could take back to my organization to really make a difference. And then that made that entire experience worthwhile because I spent, $2,000 to attend this entire event all in, but I saved my organization $10,000. So those people that write in, like, we now want to reach out back to them and say, like, whoa, I bet that event planner wants to talk to you more, and how can you write a testimonial now for their website? So it's not only on Convention Nation, but could you do a video testimonial? Could you save it and we could upload it to Convention Nation so that future attendees could actually see your review, in person.
So how do you sort of compel people to do that? Because we already established I'm lazy. I don't want to do this. Right. Yeah. And so I have to admit too, while we're talking, I know on my phone, I still have the ASA annual app on my phone. And there are 2 feedback questions I haven't answered. And I mean, they haven't asked me to submit a testimonial or a video or anything like that. But if they did, would I do it? So what have you found to be something that can be compelling for people so that they want to give feedback?
I like this because we studied this a lot as well. And Yelp has one of the best systems that we think for leaving reviews. I mean, people leave reviews for restaurants all the time on Yelp and other service providers as well. And what they do is it's kind of like Wikipedia. Mm-hmm. So, anyone can contribute content to Wikipedia. And the more you contribute content to it, the more upgraded your clout and stature is, so that you earn the right to now go edit other things because Wikipedia sees you as an expert in the field.
Okay.
So we actually built that into Convention Nation as well.
So cool. Okay, tell me more.
I know it's hard to market this though, but people that start reviewing, once they have, I can't remember exactly what the number is, but once they have 3 reviews that have been upvoted by somebody else, mm-hmm. then they now become an authority in the space where they've done the review. So it might be, it might be association events, it might be marketing, it could be, we can link them together inside our database, and then they get the ability to then moderate the content about the event, and then moderate the content that's in the reviews, and essentially be able to call somebody out on posting something that wasn't correct because, we're going to go into negative reviews, I'm sure, further along in this chat. But do you see how giving someone the authority to feel like they have some ownership in their participation in the event and what's said about the event online gives them an incentive to then go leave a review and incite others to upvote their review or to contribute their own review so that they all become part of the community?
I do. And I can also see how that's a good vetting process for you at Convention Nation too, because you've seen that they've established themselves over time. And so they then are granted, they're essentially more trustworthy to be able to do more. So exactly. Because you're discovering that along the way. So I can see that, working on both sides. Now I understand why it works so well for Wikipedia and why it's working well for you. So wait, yeah. So, how about that? Okay. People leave positive and negative reviews. And one of the biggest things that we see on Review Chat is people talking about the pushback on negative reviews. Some of our discussions have been about fake negative reviews or reviews that have where there's like a competitor who's doing it. And we're not talking about that. I'm talking about like when there's a legit negative review that is posted, how do you suggest that, say, someone who's running a conference, they approach that and in a way that is probably, well, in the best way possible?
I'd have to say it depends because we want to be as helpful as possible to that event planner, whether they're an association or whether, anyone that has a negative review should have the ability to respond to that review. So our system does allow for a response, so long as the owner of the event has claimed the event, because then our system has to be able to verify that the person answering about the event is an authority for, they own the event, or they have to prove that they're the event planner. We just can't have random people, claiming that they're, owning the event. So, so they should have the ability to respond if they want to take it offline and have us take it down. I think that's fine.
So what are oh, go ahead. Sorry.
It actually has never happened though. I think, so the philosophy here is that, and I'm going to take this from Marcus Sheridan. And if no one has read Marcus Sheridan's book, They Ask You Answer. Every negative review is a gift handed to you in a Christmas package. Like it's a wonderful thing because it gives you insights on what you're doing and what your audience knows, because more people are likely to tell other people about a bad experience than they are to tell you about their bad experience. Right. So if they're leaving information on you about what could have made your event better, I mean, that's wonderful free information that should be encouraged, because the likelihood is you're not going to get all of your attendees saying that it's awful. You're going to get one or two that just had an issue with something, and that's easy to fix, right?
It's so true. It's so true, but it's really hard to digest, right? Can we agree that it's like, it's not fun. It's not like a fun thing. It might be a present, but it might be like the present that you need rather than want. I wanted this pretty lovely thing and I got this, but I guess I needed it. What about regular engagement? Like what's a way that conference organizers can sort of proactively go about, engaging with attendees or previous attendees, building relationships? Like what have you seen from your experience?
There are so many marketing and social media tools available that, even stuff outside of what we're doing in Convention Nation. I mean, there's a company called Mighty Networks that we're actually using ourselves. And I created a network called Mighty Networking that's kind of different than Facebook groups, although Facebook groups is very effective to keep in touch with your attendees as well. I can provide examples of a couple of great events that have done that, but typically they're marketing companies that engage with these other platforms. But and I know the association space, it's so difficult to keep up with all of these new technology tools that are coming down the pike, but they're coming down fast and furious. And you could grab just one of them and just try it and just see what happens if you want to engage more. I think gone are the days of sending out surveys via email and getting people to answer them, unless you've got, you're going to hand them a $25 Starbucks gift card, for every response, or, people, we get inundated with email all the time. So, Typeform, for example, would be a really cool way to create a survey rather than just creating a checkbox form or sending a paper card. Yeah, I kind of forgot the question. How?
You know what though? Let's actually, that's a sign, because I'm going to take that as a gift. That's a gift that you forgot that you forgot my question. And I'm going to take it as a sign that I should ask you another question, which is actually, I think, going to be really helpful for the crowd that Ben and I draw, because we run in the association industry, primarily. And so why don't you tell us a story. Tell us a story about an association that's engaged Convention Nation, and, like what that's been like. Tell me a story, Kim. Can you tell me a story?
What if I told you I can't? Because there hasn't been I'm not kidding you. There hasn't been an association that dove in and said, yeah.
Really?
Isn't that awful?
Volunteer. The Review Society is going to do it.
Okay, yay.
Yeah. Okay, so the Review Society will do it. That's awesome. Yeah. Yay. Well, wait. So why? That's so crazy. It just hasn't happened.
I'm curious too. Like, what's the pushback?
I don't know who we're not getting to. We try to get to the event planners. They won't return our calls. We try getting to the association execs. They say, it sounds great. Follow up with so-and-so. And then that so-and-so leaves and goes on maternity leave. It's like, this has happened like several times. And we're like, why don't these people want to talk to us? Why don't they get it? So, it's
that's very strange. I mean, it's very odd to me. That is a surprise.
I think, KiKi, to me, it speaks to the risk averse nature, I think, of most associations.
Yeah.
We're very measured and we're very cautious. And this idea that people can review my conference and it's out there for anyone to read is kind of an out there notion. And I just, I think this is the same conversation that we were having 10 years ago when people were like, well, I'm just going to put my community into Facebook or into LinkedIn and let my association members talk there. And we all know how that turned out.
Yeah.
And so now, well, to Kim's point, she's actually launched a private community for her users. You can't turn around on the ASAE show floor without seeing a company that says that they have community aspect baked into their product. So, this is the same. I think we're having right now the same conversation that was being had 10 years ago about online communities.
Yeah. And that should be a big red flag to a lot of people because they're missing out on opportunity, most likely. Terry writes over here, the SEO mojo aspect alone should be inviting. But what I'm thinking also is that some of the interviews that I had with Association Chat at ASE Annual had to do with the shifting business models for associations and how they have to expand what they're thinking about as far as who their audience is and who they're trying to reach. Not saying that their core membership necessarily has to change, but their audience, that who they're trying to reach, needs to often change. And looking at things like events and products. And so how are you going to reach audiences outside of who already knows about you if you're not doing something like Convention Nation? So that's interesting to hear. I also see a comment over here, top marketing execs maybe tap marketing execs maybe instead of the planners. So maybe go to the marketing executives who might see it instead of the planners. That's a really great suggestion, Terry. I think so too.
Yeah, can I just follow up a couple of things here? The guy with the face. So, I think for the association execs who are listening, I think tapping into what Kim is doing is a smart move. Nobody trusts advertising anymore.
No.
When we take in these surveys as associations and we handpick, we cherry pick the quotes that we're going to use in our marketing collateral, people can see straight through that. That's a testimonial. It's not a review. It's been, again, hand selected by somebody who is hoping to influence buying behavior by displaying that. And look, that's perfectly fine and good. But remember how today's buyer is making decisions on things like where to go. Mm-hmm. They're reading reviews on Yelp. If I have $250 to spend on a kegerator on Amazon, I'm going to read reviews. And if I'm going to go take a vacation down to the Caribbean, I'm going to read TripAdvisor. So, as younger people are starting to make these buying decisions on what conference to attend, to invest thousands of dollars in, they're going to want to read reviews, and they're going to seek out those reviews one way or the other. They'll ask their peers, or they'll post out on social media to get reviews. So, Kim's platform basically provides a venue where this actually becomes a lot more helpful for the buyer because, instead of having to go out and ask for reviews, I've already got 7 that I can read, which is way more opinions than I might get if I did a post on my Facebook or LinkedIn group, for example.
That's so true.
Well, and something else, again, listening to, the Google guys that write the algorithms or at least run the algorithms for how their search, results are decided, reviews are number one. Like any product that has reviews or any site that offers review, Google has ranked the conferences on our site that have the most reviews the highest. Okay. So like if you Google Collision Conference, for example, I think we're in the top 5. I think Convention Nation's in the top 5 because we got so many people to leave reviews of that conference.
That's amazing.
It works.
I almost submitted to speak at Collision. So like that is, I know.
Great show. But so that's for startups, but it's also got great marketing content. And I mean, on a sidebar, I think that there are plenty of conferences for association people that are outside the association world that they should go see what's happening in startup world, to just get a different perspective of what innovations are coming. But there's another example. Like I went all the way out to San Francisco. I'm in Connecticut, and to a startup fest that I thought was really going to be beneficial to me. Mm-hmm. When in reality, I paid all the money to be there. And then essentially it was a bunch of like venture capitalists whose only job there was to vet all of us to see if the deal flow looked like something they wanted to invest in.
Oh, no.
So we paid to get a bunch of information and to meet and greet some VCs and everything, when in reality, they didn't want anything to do with us if we didn't fit their profile for what they wanted to invest in the following year. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, why did I go waste $2,500, between, lost time and the flight out to San Francisco and other stuff, when I realized I was the product, but I also paid to be there as well. Like, it didn't matter that I got a book signed by, this famous VC. It wasn't valuable.
That's not why you were there. Yeah.
That's not why I was there, but that's how it was marketed.
Right.
And so someone needs to come back and call that organization out and say, hey, people, you're going to spend a lot of money and you're not going to get what you think you're going to get, because this is what this event is actually all about.
Well, so you're you're obviously very savvy about technology and the way that these things work. And as you're going to events, knowing that Convention Nation is your baby, you can't help but think about new ideas, new ways, new features that you can offer and build in to your platform. And so how do you control yourself? How do you control yourself? Because I can imagine that you're probably thinking about, voice search and how you can interact, so
it's all.
So talk to me. How are you prioritizing what's coming? Is there anything you can, we'll start there. Okay.
I tell you,
yes,
of course.
Yes.
No, this is public. So I, an intern that worked for me that became my employee for my other company. It's a long story, but let's just say he was part of University of Connecticut's senior design project for engineering.
Wow.
And I was really fortunate that UConn called him up last year and said, we have some engineering students that are looking to do a project. Do you have any work? And the gentleman works for an aerospace company now. He said no. He said, but you know what? Go call my old boss, Kim, and see if she wants any help. Well, I thought I was going to get one intern. I'm getting 20.
What?
I'm getting 20 interns.
Come on. That is...
And School of Engineering for...
You realize that's not even luck. I think that more than makes up for the crappy San Francisco trip.
Right?
Right? I mean, I think luck kind of more than balanced out in your favor with that one. Yes.
I can't wait. Yes. And they are so we're going to have an artificial intelligence and big data component, because the other part of all of this is that what events are creating is such valuable data to somebody that an event that wants to give us all of their information and really help us index it. And I'm not talking about taking any user information and making it personal. Okay. Right. So this is fully GDPR compliant. We just want to know how you decide on the content for your industry. Why is that important? And then who is that information going to be valuable to in the future? Is it Wall Street? Is it a venture capitalist? Mm-hmm. Is it, there are lots of entities that would really information. So I'm like, hey, we can come aggregate all of it and package it up and then come up with, so which organization did the big event industry report a few years ago? I think it was done in 2012 and then it was done again in 2017, I want to say, but was it CEIR or was it, Ben, do you know?
Yeah, no, I don't.
I think they hired, I can't remember which one of the firms they hired. But anyway, long story short, I know there are at least 2 million conferences, trade shows, et cetera, happen in the US every year. That means there's 3,500 happening every single day. There are so many happening that don't they want to know what's going on with each other? And if there's so many opportunities, I mean, we're talking 230 million registrations every single year. Mm-hmm. But there hasn't been a company to gather all of this information and then use it for something for good. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to, make use of all this good information. So it all starts with, the planner saying, hey, Kim, I want to take a risk with you and I'm going to list my event. And you know what? I might get some bad feedback, but holy cow, I might get a lot of good feedback. And then I'll know what to double down on next year. And then I know that, my little association, my big association really does have a big place in this industry or in this world. So,
wow.
Yeah.
There's so much with this. I have like 3 million questions that just popped up all at once. And the most obvious being like, oh my God, the interns, like, how are you going to put them to work? There are so many cool things that can happen with Convention Nation once you're done with them. Oh my gosh. But the other one is, how deep into the information, do you get now, and do you want to get? Because you're saying you're GDPR compliant is good, but you're really interested in how people make the decisions they do. And I imagine that you're thinking about, the tracking actual movement versus self-reporting and that kind of thing. Like, how into data collection do you want to get when it comes to the member experience or the attendee experience on site?
I think I love that question. I think we're going to develop it kind of as that request comes into us, obviously. Yes. So, I mean, again, I can think of more tools. Like we're getting past the point where we even need beacons for stuff,
right,
because we're all walking around with our smartphones and they're all.
Well, that's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. So, will name badges go the way of the dinosaur? I don't know. Will we all just have like one badge that we take to every single event that we attend that has some LED screen on it that syncs via Bluetooth to our phone and just provides the information? Right. So we're saving all of that plastic waste, in the landfills from the badges. Like there's so much that's possible now because technology is moving at light speed. But I think this artificial intelligence thing is really going to catch a lot of people off guard, because I think, like associations need to be designing their content on their websites so it's so easily indexable that a machine like Alexa can go in there and find the information quickly. And do you know, KiKi, we still struggle with someone tells us about an event that they want to leave a review on, but the event happens to not be in our system. So they use our little drift chat, which is conversational chat. And they plug it into the bar and I answer it and I'm like, oh, let me go find this event. So I go find the event. Do you know how hard it is for me to just even put in the general information about that conference into our system? Because on page 1, it doesn't list the venue. It doesn't list where the event's held. Doesn't list
I hate that.
Doesn't list the, the contact person for the event. And one other thing of note is, again, because we rank pretty highly for a lot of these events, when an attendee or a potential exhibitor can't get the event planner on the phone to ask them a question, they're using our chat to see if we can get the answer for them. So I'm thinking, why do I have to play customer service?
Yeah, why are you someone else's customer service?
But I'm willing to do it. We have the information because we've been able to dig around in LinkedIn and other places.
Now I know what one of your interns is going to be doing. So no, I'm just kidding. So okay. So the other thing that so how deep do you want to go into the information? And then,
right.
Oh, what was the other thing? I lost it, Ben. Do you want to do the is it ethical game right now while I try to think of the question I was going to ask? I had it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah,
All
so
right.
On every episode of Review Chat, I'm not always invisible, but we always do a is it ethical game. And KiKi and I are still trying to come up with a jingle, but I'll sing it this time. Is it
so
ethical? So Kim has she's brought us an ethical dilemma about online reviews and events. So Kim, go ahead and cue up the ethical dilemma. And KiKi, do we have a live poll where we're going to ask the listeners here whether or not they think it's ethical?
We kind of do, in the fact that people can type in their responses yes or no. So is it ethical, yes or no? Yes.
All right. So in the instance of let's say a bad review, right? Is it ethical for Convention Nation to remove somebody from the platform because of the types of reviews they leave if it's I mean, we're hearing a lot about this in, in Twitter and Facebook, and, Alex Jones has been banned from Twitter, and, all of these hate groups or these super right-wing groups have been banned. So I guess the question is, if there's a frequent attendee that reviews a lot of stuff that tends to leave very negative reviews, is it ethical for us to ban them from leaving reviews in the future? Or, are their reviews useful? And obviously people are going to say it depends on the context, but let's assume that it's not necessarily fully, BS just to get a bunch of huff and fluff, and they do have some valid points, but that they're always super negative. Is it ethical for us to ban them from reviewing anymore?
So I like this one.
Mm-hmm.
So again, the guy without a face here. I think, and it's always, I don't know if Kevin's on our show today, Kevin Romito from Quality Service Certified. He always has lots of great opinions on this, on these, is it ethical dilemmas. I would say it depends. If he's actually offering constructive feedback and good information that would actually inform someone's opinion on whether or not they want to attend that convention, I think that's legitimate. What I would be concerned about, and maybe what the source of your question or your dilemma, Kim, comes from what I call vengeance reviews, or the weaponization of reviews, where if a convention organizer is bringing in lots of liberal speakers, for just to follow your example, and they don't like the fact that President Obama has been invited to address the group, and they're using their white right-wing anger to write negative reviews. I don't think that's legit. But if there's more to the review than just that, like, hey, tell me, what do you think about the conference organizers? And what do you think about the sessions? How was the food? How was the venue? But if it's all about the speaker and trying to advance their agenda, I would see that as a vengeance review, or the weaponization of reviews, and trying to tear down a conference that they don't share any, they don't share the same worldview.
What does everyone else? What do you guys say? Anyone want to weigh in? There's probably no. I do need to make it the poll question, where there's just a nice yes or no. See, this is the problem with reviews, guys. It's just, the more complicated it is, it does depend. Right. So yes, it does depend. So yeah, I mean, it is a tough one. I think you have to judge it as it comes in, and evaluate, whether it makes sense to leave it on, whether it's legit or not.
So Kim, just to maybe continue the conversation, imagine if this same reviewer has gotten his 3 upvotes on your platform, which then kind of makes him one of your best reviewers, right? If you're getting upvotes, then those reviews are helpful, and ostensibly they're helpful. But maybe he has a friend who just went in and upvoted his account so that he could get some more mojo in your system.
So, I mean, there's always going to be a time where we're going to have to intervene, as a company, and say, and reach out to this person and just verify that they are who they say they are, and that they've actually attended the event that they're talking about, because that's one other thing we have trouble with. Planners typically don't want to give us their attendee lists, even if we swore up and down that we would never publish the list anywhere, and that we would only keep it for internal purposes, just so that we can match emails with names to prove that someone actually attended the event. That would be very helpful for us. And that's one way to dissuade the fears of the planner from someone leaving a review that wasn't legit. Because if we can prove they were actually there, then we'll leave it up. And I will swear right now that you give me your attendee list and everyone that checked into the event, and I promise we will never use it for anything other than that.
Yeah. There's a really great question over here that Terry had about, do you have an ethics board for these types of reviews? Like when you run into that sort of situation, have you ever encountered anything like this yet?
Knock on wood, we haven't.
Oh my gosh.
So it's going to come down to, my judgment. And ultimately, I think I'm going to reach out to you guys to say, if I get into a bad situation, I'm going to reach out to you and say, what do we do? And then, knock on wood, it doesn't happen. But yeah, like I said, most people, they're lazy enough that they're not going to leave a review just to get notoriety. I mean, they're going to go to a different venue for that. They're going to go to Twitter. They're going to try to raise the hair on somebody's neck when they get someone to actually engage with them.
Yeah. Except
Facebook's not a place for that here. Not so much.
Not yet. But when we talk about, your goal is to get as many meetings on there as possible. So if you're successful in getting as many people to add their content onto your site, then statistically your chances of facing that kind of an issue is like, so you will run into that. And that was actually my question that I was going to ask that I just totally blanked out on earlier is, so like, how? We know, this must frustrate you to no end to know that there are all these meetings that are happening all the time. And you are providing this perfect platform for people to put all of this information into. And how to get them on there? I have to say, I worked on it was a calendar type app years ago. And one of the things we were really trying to highlight was weird events that were happening everywhere. And so as I researched this was a very popular idea. Everybody wanted to do it. It was incredibly hard to find. There was not like one place you could go to find a good list of events that were happening everywhere. It just wasn't there. And it was, it was like a nightmare. We actually had interns who that was their job. Atlas Obscura was like our go-to, and then we'd branch out from there. I have a list of all the weirdest cities in the United States because we would just go and look at like the stuff that's going on there. But, I can imagine how difficult it is to try to figure out how to reach into the different areas where it's like, yeah, well, the people who are planning the meetings need to do it, but it's also the marketing people who need to understand that there's value in doing that. Right. And so, and you're probably like, yeah, so now I'm going to go have my glass of wine early, KiKi. So you're coming on Review Chat. What are some things that you're thinking about, getting some more meetings on the platform? Do you have like goals as far as growth? And I don't know, just talk to me. Tell me what you're thinking.
It's inbound marketing. Yeah. It's providing value. So, doing something like this is obviously helping us get the word out. And so I'm so appreciative. I'm not sure this is something that's just going to, grow and expand over. I mean, it took LinkedIn like 9 years to actually get people to even put their resumes in.
That's true.
And to start doing something. And, and they were just bought by Microsoft last year. So, this is not a platform that's tiny, that's going to make gazillions of dollars day one. I mean, this is going to be one of those companies that really requires the community to come in and opt in. And I hope they learn that, we're good guys and we're on their side. And the only reason we're doing this is to help drive more customers and give sponsors and exhibitors a reason to go to your event. And that, again, like Marcus Sheridan says, sticking your head in the sand and acting like you can do the same marketing over and over and over again for 2 decades because it's always worked, because you're always seeing the results you always wanted to see. Well, that's fine. You probably don't need your event on our system.
Yeah.
When I say system, but in the community. But if you're an event that wants to grow and wants to see what other opportunities there are, let me give you an example. Like back in 2012, I started going to networking events, and I ran into a gentleman here in Connecticut who his company sells parking systems. Okay, so that technology where you stick your credit card in the parking garage, he sells those machines. And I said, Scott, where do you go show off this technology? And he goes, I go to parking system shows. I'm like, really? Did it never occur to you to go to like an economic development or government show where you can go, or a public works show? And he goes, no, I never would have thought of that. And so like the light bulb went on. He goes, you know what? That's where my customers are.
Oh my gosh.
Like,
oh my gosh. So,
okay. So
yeah.
Well, no, and the event and the content, this is it, right? The event and the content is for the association's membership, But there are people where your members are customers to somebody else. And if you want that somebody else to come pay money at your show because they want to get in front of your customers, because they want to be able to hold a cocktail party, or they want to, they want to do something because their customers are there, kind of like I was way back in 2012.
Oh my gosh.
Give them the chance to do that. I think there's tons of revenue there that wouldn't otherwise be available if you didn't participate, because we're going to match them up. And if your event's not listed, we're going to match them up with somebody else.
Kim.
And you want the eyeballs on your event.
It's like
there you go.
Convention Nation is like 23andMe for conferences. It's like, I want my career DNA to be mapped out to the conferences and events I need to attend.
Oh man, there's so much, KiKi. I want to do a foundation where we're helping new grads in school figure out how to attend a conference for free before they even get out of school, to make sure that's where their major should be.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got so many ideas in my head. So associations are going to need to partner with me and just help do that student, gosh, I can talk forever.
You got your 20 engineering interns heading your way, so you better get them.
There's really cool stuff coming.
So I have one more question, Ben, if that's okay. I have one more question that I would like to ask. All right. And that is, how can association planners get involved with Convention Nation to promote their events?
It's so simple.
I like simple.
ConventionNation.com. In the top right, there's a little space that says create an event. And you just click that tab and it's going to ask you to sign in. And if you've never signed in before, Ben, you can go through it. You just did it, an hour ago? It was pretty easy, right? It'll take you to a form that's one of those, quasi type form type deals where you go page after page and just list the info about your event. Click next, and then you get to the end and click publish. And like I said, it comes straight to me and the rest of my team, and we just review it to make sure that there's no bad stuff in there. And if it's all kosher, we'll just press publish, and there it goes.
Oh my gosh. It's so simple.
Pretty easy.
I love it. I love it.
And that part's free. Like I said, we just want to know what the event is so that we can help our members find stuff.
Well, thank you for giving us your time and your expertise to share with us today. Ben and I, the ghost Ben and I, would like to... We'd like to say thanks to everyone, and a special thanks to you, Kim, so much for being here on the show with us today. And Review Chat, as a reminder, you guys, it's your only live show and podcast dedicated to the art and science of online customer reviews. So you can always catch new episodes of the chat every month. And please check out the Review Society online for more information, reviewsociety.org. And Ben,
yes.
Anything else before I say thank you?
Well, let me just say this. We're talking about conventions and events and reviews. The Review Society is going to hold its first ever annual meeting in Las Vegas, January 17th and 18th. The exact location is to be determined, but we should have some more details for you shortly. It's going to be 2 days of geeking out on online reviews and helping to set a strategic direction for the Review Society. So I invite all of my review geeks to mark their calendars, get your gambling arms ready to go, and your gambling fingers, and we're going to have a great time. Really with the first face-to-face event for us to start moving this profession forward. So 17th and 18th of January 2019 in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Great.
Awesome.
It's already on Convention Nation.
Check it out on Convention Nation. Be a member of reviewsociety.org. Until next time, everyone, thanks for listening.
Thanks.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye.